does a ground wave follow the curvature of the Earth over a long distance? My feeling is that this is impossible on a globe Earth. To me, this is just BS propaganda using phony data supplied by NASA. Never a straight answer.
A ground wave travels along the ground, partly by using the ground as a conductor, which is why they travel better over the ocean, which is a better conductor. In doing this, they follow the shape of the Earth. Ground waves were known about long before NASA was founded in 1958, and have never been one of NASA's concerns. I know you think you're being funny with your never a straight answer statement, but do you even know what NASA really stands for?
I just want to see a real picture of the Earth, not an artist rendition or a CGI the blue marble, just a Polaroid picture from an astronaut.
Actually, the famous blue marble picture taken by Apollo 17 astronauts in 1972 was a real photograph, not CGI or even a composite. The Polaroid cameras available at the time produced very poor quality images compared to the 70mm Hasselblad camera with an 80mm Zeiss lens that the astronauts used. NASA certainly wouldn't have wasted their weight and space budget on a relatively useless piece of equipment such as a Polaroid camera just to impress someone who may not even have been born yet. Besides, even a Polaroid image can be easily faked. The only way you could be sure it was real would be if you were actually there to see it taken, and then you wouldn't need a picture, you'd be able to see it with your own eyes. It should also be pointed out that all the manned missions since 1972 have been far too close to the Earth to take a whole Earth image. Only a small part of the Earth is visible at once.
If you believe in globe Earth, then you probably also believe in the theory of relativity, the Big Bang Theory, the theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, yes, gravity is just a theory, the moon landing and ISS space station hoaxes, and many other lies we have been fed since birth. Most wars have been started based on lies from our elected leaders controlled by big banks. They all get rich and we fools die defending their lies. Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen by FDR to draw America into World War II, which was based on another lie about the Lusitania. The Gulf of Tonkin lie was perpetrated by LBJ, lying Bath Johnson, to drag USA into Vietnam, and 9/11 was another government lie, orchestrated by Bush, big bank elites, R.E., Rothschild, Rockefeller, etc., and in collusion with Israel, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and other countries to blame Osama bin Laden, Iraq, and Afghanistan to drag us into yet more wars that we had no business being involved. When is enough enough? Wake up, sheeples!
My, aren't we long-winded? Let's take this in the order presented. I didn't mention the theory of relativity, and it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. I'll just point out that several predictions have been made based on it, and these have turned out to be true. As for the Big Bang Theory and the theory of evolution, I didn't mention them either, and you are making a lot of assumptions that have no basis. Most fundamentalist Christians and others who reject evolution accept the globe Earth heliocentric model, and some even argue that the Bible actually supports the globe model. Also, no matter what you might think about some of their more out there beliefs, there is no denying that the cosmological viewpoint of Mormonism is entirely inconsistent with the idea of a flat Earth, and in particular the snow globe model of the universe. Yet they reject both the Big Bang and evolution, since they don't fit in with their theology either. In any case, this is neither the time nor the place for a theological discussion. Gravity is not a theory, it is a natural law, a basic fact of the universe. You reject it only because it doesn't fit your ideas about how the Earth and the universe work, and it is vital to understanding how they really work. There is no evidence that the moon landings and the ISS are hoaxes. You reject them only because they don't fit your model. Your talk about conspiracy theories involving World War II doesn't exactly help your credibility, especially when you mention the Lusitania, which happened right before World War I, not World War II, and didn't get us into that war either. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was questionable at best. I'll grant you that much. Your 9/11 conspiracy theory is laughable at best. In the rest of your diatribe, I detect a subtle hint of anti-Semitism, the most morally bankrupt, and intellectually deficient of all prejudices.
Now I am ham owner. The waves go up no more than 80 miles, the maximum. Try.
I'm not sure how to take this. If you're talking about 2 meters, the most popular band, especially for beginners, then that's about right. Even if you're using high-level repeaters, you'll rarely talk to people more than about 70 miles away. This assumes you're talking about terrestrial contacts. You can communicate much further using satellites or moonbounce. On the other hand, if you're talking about ham radio in general, or specifically about HF, you are dead wrong. At almost any time you can find stations on 20 meters that are thousands of miles away, and at night, especially during the winter, you can get on 80 meters and talk to stations hundreds of miles away using 100 watts into a pair of wires at 40 feet.
Wrong. They use the atmosphere to bounce radio waves. Tesla knew this. The Nikon P900 brings all those ships right back into focus. The pencil beams used by the Navy are line of sight for the Sparrow missile. No curvature.
The ionosphere is a layer, more specifically one of 4 layers, D, E, F1, F2, of the atmosphere, which is ionized, hence the name. So when we talk about the ionosphere, we are talking about a specific layer of the atmosphere. Don't play silly word games with me. I know better, and so should you. A good optical zoom can bring distant objects, especially small ships and boats that are hard to see from a few miles away, back into view. But a large ship which has disappeared over the horizon is still invisible no matter what zoom you use. I myself have often stated that seeing ships disappear over the horizon is much more difficult than most people imagine. Conditions such as mirages and atmospheric interference get in the way, so you need ideal conditions to actually observe this phenomenon. The Sparrow missile was originally an air-to-air missile system with a range of 6.8 to 43 miles, depending on the model. Since both the launching craft and the target were well above the surface of the Earth's curvature was not a factor. The Sparrow was later used in a surface-to-air role where the target was well above the surface of the Earth, so the Earth's curvature was also not a factor. It was never used in a surface-to-surface role where the Earth's curvature would actually be a factor. It is a common tactic for flat earthers to bring up obscure topics like this that most people aren't familiar with, and their claims always fall apart with a little investigation.
If my TV satellite dish is tracking a satellite, how does it do that without moving? What an amazing satellite. It's stationary, same place, day after day, year after year, no problems. LOL. Yeah, right. Ham operators my ass.
Unlike amateur satellites, the satellites used for satellite TV are geostationary and therefore do not require tracking. The tiny dishes used for satellite TV have a very wide beam width, which easily covers the normal perturbations in the orbit of geostationary satellites. There is nothing magical about this. The orbital period of a satellite is determined by its altitude. A geostationary satellite has a circular equatorial orbit at an altitude that gives it an orbital period that matches the rotation of the Earth. Thus, they always face the same part of the Earth. This is not a difficult concept.
So why not construct a flat Earth map according to the readings of ham radio operators? This has been attempted for airline flight patterns.
If you did this based on readings from Sacramento, the map would look like a great circle map centered on Sacramento. If you did this based on readings from Sydney, it would look like a great circle map centered on Sydney. If you look at these two maps, you'll see that they are quite different. It is impossible to make a flat map that'll show the correct beam headings between any two places on Earth. It is impossible because the Earth isn't actually shaped like that. The Earth isn't flat, so every flat map is wrong. If, on the other hand, you tried to construct the map from readings from different places, you'd find that there's no way to draw the map so that it fits all the different readings from all the different places.
Globe Earth shill.
I am sincere in everything I say, so I am not a shill. I do accept the reality of globe Earth, so in that sense, you are half right.
It's flat. It doesn't move. Radio signals bounce off the firmament layer they call the ionosphere. There is no stupid math that explains how to bend water. Oceans. Don't be stupid.
It's round. It does move. This bit about radio signals bouncing off the firmament has come up many times in the comment section. This response will suffice for all of these comments. First of all, I must say that this is a truly bizarre argument. If the Earth was actually flat, you wouldn't have to bounce signals off of anything. You'd be able to go directly from one point to the other. Second, the firmament argument does not even begin to explain the beam headings between various parts of the Earth. Only the globe model can explain that. Third, it doesn't explain the way the reflectivity versus absorption versus pass-through of various frequencies is affected by daily cycles, seasonal cycles, and the 11-year sunspot cycle. The fact that the ionization of the ionosphere is impacted by the amount of radiation from the sun at 2800 megahertz, which is directly related to the area of the sun's disk covered by sunspots, explains all these cycles, and this fact is well known to all students of HF propagation. There is no good explanation for how the firmament would be affected by the radiation from the sun at 2800 megahertz.
So you notice that people have bulges. Telling indeed.
Not that it is anything to brag about, but I have a bit of an equatorial bulge myself. I am working on modifying my diet and engaging in better exercise habits to alleviate that situation. Seriously, dude, I could say strawberry shortcake and I'm sure you'd find some way to make it sound perverted. On that note, I am ending part 1. By the time you watch this, part 2 will have already been uploaded and will go live 1 week after part 1. So watch for it.